What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So this weekend we have E3, not E3 time, kicking off, which we have to figure out a better name for that. Anyway, we do have Summer Game Fest coming up, as well as that Xbox Showcase, where based on many rumors that are swirling, Microsoft could be making a serious impact there with not only software, but hardware. We're gonna dive into that though here today. Also, we are gonna be talking about new retro hardware set to hit the scene later on this year, where we could have our most true to form version of the Game Boy, and then we have some ridiculous stuff to go over when it comes to Nintendo and the secondhand market, as we are seeing some insane pricing around what essentially is a slipcover for the latest Switch game. So if you guys enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members of the channel do get Newswave early. If you'd like to learn more about that, click the join button down below this video. And we're gonna start today with the PlayStation, the Xbox, and Octopath Traveler. It's kind of a weird situation because the Xbox has Octopath Traveler 1, the PlayStation has Octopath Traveler 2. That's kind of it currently, well, at least until most likely this weekend. As we can see posted up, this is over on Gamatsu, who notes some of the ratings. This is with the Taiwanese Digital Game Rating Committee. They've rated the original Octopath Traveler for the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, as well as Octopath Traveler 2 for the Xbox Series. And really, I would assume maybe we'll see the Xbox Series version get announced for Octopath Traveler 2 during Xbox's showcase, and they could just drop it right into Game Pass. I think that'd be a good move, considering the first Octopath Traveler also went into Game Pass. And then for the PlayStation, you'd probably see Octopath Traveler just get announced at Summer Game Fest. So that'd be good, because it would, I think, really resolve an odd situation based on placement of these games, with one system missing the other and one's a sequel. Is very strange. But now, at least it appears Octopath Traveler will pretty much be complete across the board on both platforms. Also, it looks like we have another Amazon Prime Video series to look forward to when it comes to video games. So we saw what happened with the Fallout series, which absolutely exploded in popularity, and that had a profound effect on game sales as well. Now we can see, though, this is posted up over on the official account from RGG Studio, say, make the choice to take the next step like a dragon. Yakuza comes to Prime Video October 24th. I don't know, was this rumored before? I feel like this is the first time I've heard this, really, and everyone else seemed genuinely surprised online with this. I set over 7 million impressions on this message, as well as over 50,000 likes, and I'm pretty excited for this, because while I've been in and out of the Yakuza series that then eventually became the Like a Dragon series here in the West, I have enjoyed my time with the games that I've tried out for it, but they do kind of border on that side of, wow, there are very long cutscenes and moments of them just explaining the narrative and that sort of thing with the characters, to where, yeah, it probably would work out for a series like this. Now, there are some other details that have been trickling out here as we've gone along, to where it's like a 6-episode series, also it's kind of broken up, and sort of the setting, those sorts of things. But I'm really curious, one, how this will turn out, and two, what effect it could have on the video game series, especially after what we saw with Fallout. Oh, and it does indeed look like we'll be getting that release date for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which this we could see posted up by Bill, as they say, edition and price reveal for Sparking Zero Ultimate Edition. More details on Summer Game Fest 2024. Of course, it's like $110. Also available in physical disc, which, yes, this is a game I'd like to get physically for kind of the Dragon Ball collecting side, sort of. But either way, yes, we're most likely going to see the release date at Summer Game Fest, and I'm going to throw it out there. I'm thinking first half of October, maybe even first week, to play along with tradition, as we've seen with some of the other Dragon Ball Tenkaichi games that came out right around that time period. So that's what I'm thinking right now. But exciting stuff. Seems like we will finally get that release date for Sparking Zero, and it'll only be a few months away then. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Microsoft and their Xbox Showcase that'll be taking place Sunday, June 9th. And there are a lot of expectations around Microsoft right now, because the pressure is surely on after what's been just a string of bad news, it feels like, for the Xbox brand, whether it's just studio closures or sales continue to decline when it comes to the console side of things. But now it does seem that they are prepping a pretty big show, one that I think will actually be pretty good overall. And if indeed this latest string of rumors is correct, it could be a massive showcase for them. But let's take a look. This is posted up over on Pure Xbox, and many people sent me this, and I do see why. I think there could be a lot of excitement leading into it from this, but I do want to stress, this could also build people up quite a bit to where there would be incredible disappointment afterwards. So keep that in mind. We can see this, though, again, posted up by Pure Xbox, where they say apparently Microsoft will use its upcoming showcase to not only shadow drop a first-party game, but to also unveil its long-rumored portable console. That's right. Apparently, again, these are rumors that are swirling around right now. This is from well-known leaker Xtus1S. This is on YouTube. Again, grain of salt on this one, but it definitely spread quite a bit because we have heard from Microsoft themselves to keep an eye out for hardware, potentially even this holiday, right? It's okay, you take that, you put it along these rumors, then maybe talking about a handheld. Microsoft obviously getting very cozy with some of the PC handhelds right now. I mean, it does add up to them attempting their own handheld, but would it actually be something they would talk about at this showcase? That's tough to say. If anything, we're going to get hardware here, but it'll be that all-digital, that adorably all-digital Xbox Series console, and then maybe that controller that we've seen as well in those FTC documents, unless that really is just old plans and they're not even doing that, although I would like that controller because it does appear that it would be a solid refresh with a lot of current, more modern features like that advanced haptic feedback. As for the first-party game that they would shadow drop here, I mean, it's anyone's guess because they say it's one that people have been waiting for, and there's plenty of those to go around, but what would they really want to show up with and just shadow drop? I mean, people are thinking like State of Decay 3, but I don't know if they would reintroduce it from a CG trailer years ago and then just drop it. Like, that's it. I don't really think that's the case. Someone said Towerborn. I'm not really even sure if that's necessarily just like completely first party for them. I guess it is, but either way, it could be, say, something that's not necessarily announced, but people have speculated on, like that Gears of War collection that's apparently being remastered or somewhat remade by the Coalition, because we're also expecting Gear 6 to be there. So you show up with Gear 6, you also talk about kind of this remastered trilogy or just collection in general that you would put out there, and then, yeah, it would probably also go to other platforms. Hard to say still on that one and how much they want to involve other brands' logos, we'll say, at the show. But that's kind of where I am with it. I'm not expecting anything major. Like, they're not going to show up and say, hey, Perfect Dark, here it is, and now we're dropping it on Xbox Series consoles today into Game Pass. But yeah, they could definitely have a first-party game ready to roll. They unveil it, and then they drop it into Game Pass. They've done it before. Unfortunately, that's also the studio that they technically then closed down like a year later, but they have at least done it. As the handheld, I wouldn't go in expecting it, but I would go in just hoping, and hey, if you get it, great, that's a nice surprise, because otherwise, you might get surprised by the adorably all-digital Xbox, and again, just massive disappointment if that did happen. Next up, let's talk about some retro hardware that is coming out later on this year, and that is seemingly the most true-to-form Game Boy that we've seen so far, and we can see over on their website here. This is from Mod Retro. It's the Chromatic, and apparently this is coming from Palmer Luckey, which is very random. Apparently he was someone who enjoyed modding Game Boys, so he wanted to make a more modern system that would play actual Game Boy cartridges and take things into account such as the screen aspect ratio, color temperature of the screen, the hues, all that sort of stuff. So it is as close to how you remember the original Game Boy, minus technically needing, say, one of those little worm lights that comes out the side. We're going to modernize it at least enough to have a nice LCD. In fact, this one gets incredibly bright. They were talking like 1500 nits or something so that you can play it outside. As we know, with many different screens, if you go outside with it, it's getting beaten up by the sun. It is harder to see the screen in general, but it is compatible with Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Chromatic cartridges. More on that in a minute. The world's only 160 by 144 pixel sunlight readable backlit display, super scratch resistant sapphire front crystal, magnesium alloy shell. So I'm curious how that's gonna feel in the hand exactly, but I'll just say now, I did order one of these. I actually ordered the Inferno Orange. I figure why not? We'll just go for it here with this one that's very bright and colorful. And we'll check it out. We'll tear it down. We'll do the whole thing and see exactly how this chromatic system holds up. But I did mention that it plays Game Boy Color cartridges. This is all through FPGA-based emulation. And then I also mentioned these chromatic cartridges because it seems that they're going back, getting some classic titles, putting them on cartridges that you can buy. It comes with a box, a manual, it seems, all that sort of thing. And you can relive the experience of getting a new Game Boy game and popping it into your brand new system. And to go one step further, they do have a pack-in game, and it's Tetris. In fact, they've said it's a Tetris game that they have fully licensed and they've worked on in-house to more or less take advantage of the updated display and other things with this chromatic system. So that is a nice touch to have that alongside of these cartridges that you can pick up from their site. All of this, though, is wrapped up in a $200 price, and it does come out later on this year. So I will be checking it out whenever they ship mine out, and hopefully I can have it before the end of this year, and we can check it out here on the channel and see what it's all about. Next up, let's talk about resellers or scalpers taking things to the next level when it comes to Nintendo, which we know a lot of their stuff that would come out, be limited in quantity, would show up on places like eBay for 2, 3, 4 times the amount. And we've seen that more and more, especially with what happened with the pandemic and how things were supply constrained seemingly across the board. But this one, I gotta say, even had me taken aback a bit here. So we can see this is posted up. This is by Nintendo New York, saying, "Don't judge a game by its cover." Well, maybe this one. "Check out the special gift we have for you when you purchase the Paper Mario Thousand Year Door game at Nintendo New York City." Now, this is the slipcover that I did want to get from Canada, as it seemed like GameStop Canada was doing this, and that's just the only way you could get it, really. Well, technically, yes, if you went up to the Nintendo New York store, you could buy the game and then get this slipcover, which, okay, seems innocent at first, but I'll admit, I thought about this a few minutes after this went up. I said, you know what? That seems like the perfect candidate to then flip online for scalpers, as if they can take advantage of it, they will. And in fact, it is happening in droves, and you're not going to believe this, okay? I hope you're sitting down. The price on this slipcover, here's a listing for $1,500. I'm going to say that again, $1,500, $1,500. Now, this, I think, is an extreme example because I have seen some where it's like $750, which is still outlandish for a slipcover. But I've also seen a few, if you look in the sold listings, that have indeed sold for over $1,000. It's not even just buy it now. These are all bids. So I assume somebody threw this thing up there and then people bid it up and up and up and up. And now that we have really, I guess, a floor precedent set, some are showing up with buy it nows and just hoping that someone out there decides that, yes, this slipcover is absolutely worth $1,500. And while I understand that is technically the free market at work because people are going to New York City and they're buying the slipcover and then reselling it, it's still annoying that Nintendo didn't just put this out there as a more plentiful pre-order bonus for all these different stores, right? Like we've seen steelbook cases get done with Best Buy. GameStop obviously did this in Canada. It just seems weird that they wouldn't have put this out there more, especially when it comes to this kind of a game, because it is a title that is definitely playing off nostalgia, so that obviously will work into why people would want something like this for that collector's value. But I just wanted to bring this up because it, to me, seems like the whole new level when it comes to scalping around video game related materials, because at least if it's a game, you can technically play it. This is just a slipcover that, you can go online, print out your own, and replace the box art if you really want that GameCube look for your Paper Mario Thousand Year Door copy. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree that is absolutely taking over online right now. It's very exciting because we're just a few weeks away, and this looks like it's going to be FromSoft's biggest piece of downloadable content that we've ever seen, their biggest expansion ever, and it makes sense considering it is following up one of their best releases we've ever seen, with Elden Ring? Well, hands-on previews did happen and the embargo lifted, which means we have all kinds of new information to take a look at. And what I'll do is, I think Shinobi over on X did a very good job kind of rounding all of this up and then linking out. So what I'll do is I will link to his message here, which you can see posted up, where he went through line by line with a bunch of the points that were shown off here, which includes that there are over 10 full bosses, plus additional side bosses, over 100 new weapons to find, 8 new weapon types. You have martial arts, which is pretty cool. He says new weapon type that lets you go barehanded with heavy punches, swinging kicks. You can also be assigned a skill. And one of the bosses is the divine beast dancing lion from the trailers. It alternates between ice and lightning powers, forcing you to adapt. And looking at some of the previews, people are absolutely sold on this expansion. And I mean, it's what you'd expect. This has been in development clearly for a while for being an expansion, and many are mentioning that it's like 30 or 40 hours of content. So I'm fully on board with this one. I just need to get back to Elden Ring here in like the next week, because otherwise, if I don't give a few days to reacclimate to the controls and the timing and the weapons that I picked up when I first played through the game, yeah, it's gonna be ugly. Apparently, this expansion assumes that you've still been playing the game because it beats you up pretty good, but it's gonna be expected with a lot of FromSoft games anyway. So I guess in that case, it's business as usual. But it's coming out June 21st, and I am definitely excited to dive back into the world of Elden Ring all over again. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, if you have a gaming PC, are you picking up a PSVR 2 now that the adapter is coming in August? I mean, look, 5% of people says, yes, I'm getting the headset and adapter ASAP. There's the small bump we were looking for when it comes to PSVR 2 sales. Some saying that they might wait till later, others saying, no, I already have a VR headset I like. And then 65% of people just not interested in VR, which, again, the VR craze, I think that a lot of these companies were anticipating or hoping for just hasn't materialized. I guess Meta is the closest so far with their Quest line of headsets, as that has sold millions and millions of units. But even that you'd expect for it being Meta and them also kind of intertwining it with their social experience with Facebook. I feel like that hasn't really gone as well as they would have liked it to. So I don't know if VR is going to end up basically being like 3D TV. Remember that whole thing where big push, realizing that it wasn't there, and then basically these companies just backed off and left that in the past. I don't know if it's going to go that route, because I do feel like there's more functionality with VR and the future that is envisioned if everything worked perfectly, where there were glasses you put on or a holodeck you can install at your house. Yeah, that'd be really, really cool to have, but I don't know if the technology is going to get there anytime soon. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Alex, who says, I think the original Splinter Cell was the game I first saw fluid fabric motion physics in the game. There was a shower curtain and I walked through it for a couple of minutes marveling at it. Yeah, that was something else that they played around with. They had light as well as sort of fabric in Splinter Cell. Like, I remember at one point they had, yes, like curtains in general, but I think they also had like I think at one point a blanket that was out in the wind, maybe drying on like a clothesline or something. And you'd walk through and be like, whoa, I didn't just clip through that. It interacted with me walking through it. There was another point, and this is a video that's like exploded on YouTube. It's titled, No Modern Video Game Has This Technology. It is from Splinter Cell, 2002 Splinter Cell, where they shoot a fish tank and the water pours out through the gunshot hole in the tank until that level gets to that hole. It'll keep going down and then it stops. You shoot it again and the glass all shatters out and the water spills on the floor. Think about that. That was 2002 and that worked on the PlayStation 2. Just mind-blowing stuff. It was incredible technology at that time for Splinter Cell, and that is tough that you have to live up to that technically if you're Ubisoft Toronto. Well, it seems like they've moved over to help out with Prince of Persia Sands Time remake, so I'm hoping we can finally see what this Splinter Cell remake is going to look like. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today, where there's Microsoft preparing for their big showcase this weekend. Do you think they'll show off their new handheld? And do you think they have some interesting shadow drops that they could have at their showcase? And then also, what about this chromatic Game Boy? Are you thinking about picking one of those up? And when you see that pricing for a slipcover for Mario or Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, were you as shocked as I was? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.